lovelies, it is I, Chelsea Rose, also known as Lucid Rose, and I want to talk to you about Drawlloween. Drawlloween. This is Drawlloween. So the concept for Drawlloween is artists draw something every day of October based on a list, and they then post it, hashtag Drawlloween. It creates this wealth of interesting interpretations of all of these challenges. For example, one of the challenges was bats, ghost and eyeball and graves and spooky stuff, you know, because Halloween and such. I don't know, I've been having a lot of fun with it actually. It's forcing me out of my comfort zone. I don't normally do kind of the creepy, negative, unrestful, spirity types. I'm more interested in like the sacred feminine and the goddesses and the aliens and the fairies and all these things. My hat keeps popping up. But without the darkness, we would not appreciate the light. And thus, I am having a wonderful time exploring my artistic dark side. And I wanted to show some of my illustrations with you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do kind of almost like a sketchbook walkthrough, like a sketchbook tour, but I'm only going to do half of my Drawlloween entries thus far, and then I'll do a part 2 after the whole Drawlloween thing, October Halloweeniness is through. Pumpkin spice chai. So here's my sketchbook. Let's have a look, see, shall we? Okay, here is my sketchbook, my fancy sketchbook. This is a moleskin journal, and I primarily draw with India ink pens made by Faber-Castell. I think they're called the Pit Artist pens. Anywho, let's see here. Let me find where Drawlloween. This one was actually the very first Drawlloween prompt, which was ghost. There's my ghost lady. I think she's just kind of coming to terms with her situation. I don't think she's quite happy with the fact that she's realizing she's buried 6 feet below. There's a delightful little weird little Victorian cottage over this way. Yeah, a little bundle of flowers. Yeah, so that was my first entry. This was ghost. Then came devil. This was the initial concept I came up with, but I don't know, I didn't like it all that much. So I actually ended up just going with one of my spine goddess ladies that I draw a lot, but I took the opportunity to kind of give her a forked tail and horns and some kind of very loose, sketchy suggestions of flames in the background. And then here is Goblin. I had a lot of fun with Goblin. I had to change the way that I draw my lady faces. I gave her a pretty nice big schnoz and some big ears. I really had fun putting in the little details in the earrings and stuff. I made her forearm super hairy and gave her some dreads and a crown, and she's the Goblin Queen. I really like the way she came out. And then this one was drawn for vampire. The challenge was vampire, and I decided to base mine off of the real life vampire Countess Elizabeth Bathory. She was a countess in Hungary in the 1500s, and she was convicted of killing over 600 young women, and it's estimated that her actual body count was in the thousands, because at some point she developed a nasty habit of bathing in virgin's blood to keep herself youthful and beauteous. So that's a real life thing that happened. So I don't know, I kind of took some inspiration from that. As you can see, some of her victims are in the background with on spikes, and she's got a goblet of blood, and she looks just damn well pleased with herself. Pretty dark. I don't normally get this dark with my art, so it's just been an interesting journey, kind of experiencing where this Drawlloween challenge is taking me. Next up was Can you see what this is? It's a were-lady. It's a werewolf. Lots of furries, and her claws are scary. They scare me. Did just, you know, moonlight with some city in the background and a little bit of earth on the riverbank here. Next up was zombie. This is inspired by a parasitic fungus that affects mostly at this point in our world. In reality, only is really affecting ants. But essentially what it does is it takes over the ant's nervous system and entire body and forces it to act in ways that will benefit the fungi that's infected the host. And eventually the fungus completely takes over and fruits a mushroom right out of the top of its head. So this is kind of inspired by zombie fungus. Yeah, so I don't know, there's like some forest, got some clear cutting over on this side. I did some floating cities off in the distance with some roiling poisonous clouds, thinking maybe that people, creatures like this one, used to live happily on land until disease broke out, this zombie disease, and now they have to live in these floating worlds but still have to scavenge. I don't know. Anyway, mushrooms, like little tiny ones growing out of her third eye. She's all bleh, drooling. Okay, on a cuter, brighter side, here is a worm lady popping out of a jack-o'-lantern. That was for the pumpkin challenge. And then there was the eyeball challenge, and I don't know. I had a couple different ideas, but this is one of them I inked. She's decapitated. She's got a bit of a spine sticking up here and a giant floating eyeball. And she's like, what? Next up was a haunted house. So I pretty much drew my dream home Victorian house that I'd love to live in. Right on top of this creepy creature. It's kind of like my creature ladies, except like she's kind of half skull down here. And we've got some trees, some sentient tree ladies growing. And then ghosts. Some leaves that are kind of cascading down. This was another concept for the eyeball challenge. This was inspired by, I don't know if you guys have seen the cartoon, Real Monsters, but there's one dude on there who is named Crumb, and he's a monster, and he holds his eyeballs above his head. So it was inspired by that, and then there's these weird Cyclops bat ladies in the background. And more of this fun. I really just discovered drawing this kind of foggy, wispy cloud stuff. Yeah, this one got pretty weird. It's inspired by a reoccurring dream I keep having, where the moon is actually this giant eye that just looks down and sees all, and you can't escape its gaze. And then I kind of put in I don't know if you've seen Christina's World. It's a pretty iconic painting. So I kind of did a layout similar to that and put my little dream house there, and some cities in the background and trees, and yeah. This one might be one of my favorites, really, of the whole Drawlloween thing thus far. I might want to paint this at some point. We'll see. We'll see. These two were both. I drew both of these for the prompt alien, which isn't hard because I feel like most of my creature ladies are in fact aliens, but I wanted to do something a little bit different. So here we are. One of my giant lady faces kind of as a flying saucer abducting people from a field. And I don't know, this one turned kind of organic-y feeling and ended up more, I think, fairy than alien. And then both of these inspired by the prompt raven. This was the first one that I came up with. I like it, but I wanted to kind of dig deeper with the whole concept of raven, because ravens have always fascinated me. You know, there's the Celtic druidess, the Morgan, or the Morgan, and her signature animal spirit was the raven. It was said that she could transform into the shape of a raven. And then also I have always been fascinated by the folktale that ravens and crows are actually the messengers, the carriers of the recently deceased souls to the afterlife. So that's mostly, all of that stuff is what kind of came into this concept sketch. And I really like this one too. Yeah, birdies, caw. The prompt was Frankenstein, so of course I did the Bride of Frankenstein. This isn't the first time I've drawn her, but this was kind of a closer up detail of how I had designed my Bride of Frankenstein before. Little skulls in her hair and flowers, little bat earrings and stitches and stuff. These droopy dead flowers that are molting their petals, and all of her like mummy wrap stuff here. And then the next prompt was grave, which I felt like I kind of already had done with my first ghost. The ghost prompt, you know, I had the ghost freaking out over her grave. So this time I just kind of positioned a little harpy lady standing up on top of a little headstone, overlooking some water and a cityscape. So here is my bat. It's kind of spiky, but kind of cat-like. I don't know. Yeah, going all batty with it. This one, the prompt was amulet, and so I immediately thought of like a protective amulet, and kind of dug into my roots of when I was younger, I considered myself a Wiccan, so the pentagram, the pentacle was an important symbol. So I used that, did kind of like a protection circle around this lady, and then as you can see on the outside are these malevolent spirits that are being repelled by the magic in her amulet. Oh, I'd also like to point out that I am open for commissions. If you saw a pen and ink sketch that I've done for Drawlloween or ever, approach me about doing a custom tea staining of a print for you. Those have been ranging around $35, or 15 for like small. So like, anyway, affordable. If you're really wanting a print of one of these sketches of mine, I will print it and I will stain it with tea by hand for you. So just contact me on Etsy, which is where I sell stuff. If you're interested in other stuff that I sell, collecting my art, go to lucidopticlab.etsy.com. There's a link below. I know that's a lot to remember, but click the link below to check out my shop. So yeah, and if you want to see my illustrations online, I've been posting them on Facebook, on my Facebook fan page, which is Chelsea Rose Arts, and I've also been posting them to my Instagram page, which is @LucidRose. So if you want to follow on for the rest of the Drawlloween days and kind of see what I post as a post, kind of get the inside scoop, check those out. So yes, thank you for watching. Do the subscribe-y thing below, and I love you. I love you guys. Till next time. Mwah.